Every business wants to increase profitability and lower cost. What does that mean? Like increase profitability and lower cost. How do you do it? Let's talk about that today.
Wozniak here, Tom Pang. I hope your YouTube channel is going well. If you have skills in one area, it's important to pay attention to the other disciplines that make a business successful. Marketing and business itself, just wanting to be successful and make money so you can live forever. I wish you luck.
You know, on the internet, in YouTube, in TikTok, I often hear this. In order to make the company profitable, you gotta increase your productivity and lower your cost. Okay, what does that mean? If I want to make a lot of money, 3 steps. First step, you start a business, and step 3, you make a lot of money. What is step 2? What is step 2? Like oftentimes, we say slogans that don't mean a whole lot. What does increased productivity and lower cost really mean? How do you ultimately increase productivity and lower cost? Let's talk about lowering cost, right? So if people ask me, how do you lower cost? I will say this. There are 3 types of costs that you need to worry about the most. And these are costs that are not in your financial statements. The first one is the cost of miscommunication. Before I continue, I gotta give myself more fuel, okay? This is my fuel. I need more fuel. Let me take a sip. Okay, now to lower your cost of miscommunication, that is really, really important because that is the most expensive thing in your company. And it's not in the financial statements. The numbers in your financial statements don't tell that story. When I say miscommunication, I'm talking about department to department, they're not communicating well. I'm talking about management and staff, they're not communicating well. I'm talking about my orders, my command, my directives not being communicated down well. And all those things are going to cost your company a lot of money, a lot of cost in that. Because when department they don't communicate well, nothing happens. The departments are fighting. And then when they're fighting, nothing gets done. When the management cannot communicate their message to the staff, the team is not doing what the management wants. That's very, very expensive and very expensive when you find out. And finally, when Tom says to the team, we're gonna do this, but the team doesn't hear it because the management doesn't pass down the message, the management is not consistent with Tom's message, then that is also very expensive because then the team is confused. They're all doing different things. They have all different objectives. They're all trying to hit different objectives. Do you know companies like that? Do you know companies like that where everybody in that company is doing different things? They're hitting different objectives. They're on different missions. When you have a corporation, when you have a team, that mission should be singular. That mission and value should be singular. That mission should be very clearly laid out to everybody. Everybody must understand that. But when the teams don't understand, that's a huge cost. The second most expensive cost in your business is, are you making decisions based on scientific data? All right, are you making the right decisions? This requires you to make measurements inside the company. Right? If you're not measuring the performance of your team, if you're not measuring the result of your marketing campaigns, if you're not measuring the productivity of your engineering or production teams, if you're not measuring, how do you improve it? If you don't have numbers associated to everything in your company, how do you make decisions? If you don't have numbers, how do you know your selling cost is not too high? If you don't have numbers, how do you know that your engineering team is producing results in a timely fashion and with high productivity? If you don't have numbers, how do you know which product is making the most money and which product is actually helping you lose a lot of money, right? You gotta have numbers. Once you have those numbers, it allows you to make scientific decisions that are less likely to be wrong. You can still be wrong. You can still be wrong. I don't like to rely my decisions entirely on the data because sometimes the data is wrong. sometimes the data doesn't tell the whole story, but at least you gotta have the data first, and then you put in your human intuition, put in your instinct, and then you're more likely to make the right decision. So the second most expensive cost in any business is making the wrong decision, right? Making decisions based on no data. And again, that is not in your financial statement. And the third most expensive cost in your business is the cost of making mistakes or trial and error. Every business makes mistakes. Every team makes mistakes. Every person makes mistakes. But are we learning from those mistakes? Are we learning from those mistakes so they're not happening again and again and again? It is a very expensive cost when your team members are making the same mistakes again and again and again, and you have to fix those mistakes again and again and again. Do we have the process? Do we have the systems to identify those mistakes? Do we have the process to ensure those mistakes do not happen again? So, for example, after every project, does your company have a process where everybody sit down and discuss what went wrong or what went well? How can we improve? How can we avoid all the mistakes that happened so that in the future it doesn't happen again? The faster you eliminate mistakes in your process, the more money you'll save. That will reduce your cost. So again, 3 things that you need to identify in your company, and these are the 3 most expensive costs in your company. One is the cost of miscommunication. The second is the cost of not having the data to make the right decisions. And third is, what is your cost of making mistakes? Are you making too many mistakes, and are you doing too much trial and error? Right? Those 3 things are not in your financial statements, but those are the most expensive costs in your business. Now you know. Take some fucking actions, identify how to really reduce your costs and increase your productivity, and don't ever be a fucktard.